All right, so I'm doing my ribbing. Maybe if I go slow, it'll stay in focus. All right, so here's the funky stuff. So I just purled. I'm waiting for this to do it. There. So that means this stitch should be a knit. But when I look at this, it looks like this is a knit, but it looks like the row before that was a purl. So that means I have to drop it down 2 stitches. So I'm sliding that off. I'm pulling off, that's my working yarn. I'm pulling out that stitch. Yep. You see how it's going from the back to the front? I'm going to pull out that stitch. So this is the one I've got to work with, and I've got to knit both of these. Now I can use my double point needle, and I can go just like this and knit with it, or I can take a little, I am a horrible crocheter, by the way, so I can take this little crochet hook and I can crochet this up here. Proving my point. Let me get this back in here. I can crochet this up here and then crochet this one up here and then put that back on the needle. And now that looks the way it's supposed to look. So now I'm going to do my rib until I get to the next marker. All right, so here's my next marker. Now I just knit, which means this is a column of purls, and I've got the hole here. And I know I have that hole here because I didn't twist this stitch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to take my little crochet hook tool thing, pull this one out, pull this one out, and pull this one out. I've got to go down 3 rows, the row where I knit through the back loop and then the 2 rows of the ribbing. And this is what needs to be twisted. Now I'm going to turn it actually inside out so that we're working on the knit side of this column. And what I'm going to do is put my needle in here and put a twist. Do you see what I did? I went from the top down and then turned it, and that put a twist in. Now I have to be careful that I'm using the next yarn, so I'm looking at where the yarns are coming out of my knitting. That's the first one, that's the second one, that's the third one. And I'm going to knit them up, so I'm going to just go 1, 2, 3, put it back on the needle. And now I'm on the wrong side. Whoop. No, wait. There we go. I'm on the wrong side. So that's a knit column on the wrong side. When I come over to the right side, it's my purl column. And now, just so you can see the difference, here's the way the hole looked before. It's not totally gone, but you see how much smaller it is. This is now much closer to the other ones. I should say I'm working with cotton, and the wool fills this in so much nicer than the cotton does. I'll show you my actual sweater with the wool in a minute. All right, so let me work to the next marker, which is just 2 stitches over. And it's the same problem. I don't have my loop there. I don't have my twisted loop. So I'm going to pull down 3 rows. So there's the second row of my ribbing, the first row of my ribbing, and the row where I knit through the front loop instead of through the back loop. So let me pull that yarn out of here. Okay. Come on, you. There we go. All right, so there's my 4 yarns. You can see where they're coming out of the knitting, so you can see the order in which they're in. This bottom one is my yarn over. So I'm going to go down from the top, turn my needle and put a twist in there. Then I'm going to knit. That's my knit through the back loop. Then I'm going to knit the first row of the ribbing. Then I'm going to knit the second row of the ribbing, put it on my needle, and now I'm ready to continue knitting along to the fourth marker, the third error with the knitting through the back loop. And again, let's take a minute and look at it. Here, right here, is where that big hole had been. There's the hole. Here's where it is now. And again, you can see how much smaller that is. So now we're going to do one more. So let me get over to that one. I have to knit here. And again, this is on a purl column. So because this is on a purl column, I like it easier on the knit side. I can see it easier. It's easier for me to do. So I'm just going to turn it to the knit side. Here's where my hole is. I'm going to pull it off the needle. I'm going to pull out the second row, the first row, then the knit through the back loop row, and then I have my yarn over. Now you can see here if I did nothing, I would just have this big loose ladder going up there. Nothing's coming undone, nothing's coming apart. I just don't have any, I'm going to have this goofy little loopy stuff if I don't fix it. So I'm going down, turning it to put my twist in. Then I'm going to knit through the back loop row, knit my first row of ribbing, knit my second row of ribbing, then I'm going to put it on the needle, turn it around now and look at it from the right side, and there it is. Ta-da! All fixed. That was a whole lot easier than ripping everything out and starting over, wasn't it? So when you see a mistake, take a minute, analyze it. If you need to, send me photos of it, call me, we'll work our way through it so that you don't have to rip it out and start all over again. There's no need to do that. There are times where you absolutely have to do that, but usually not. So what happens if you're doing this and you forgot to do a yarn over? You missed a yarn over. Like, let me come down here. And let's suppose there was supposed to be a yarn over here and there isn't one. And I see that I'm missing a stitch. Now remember what we just did. We said, okay, there was the second row of ribbing, the first row of ribbing, and then this was where we had the yarn, the knit through the back loop. So then what I would do is I'd come down here, right here, to this thread, and I would treat it like it was all that loopy loop stuff. I would give it a tug, I would twist it, and then I would come into that first yarn. Wait, let me loosen things up a little bit here. So I've got these 3, and I'm going to loosen them up, and if I needed to, I would kind of work some excess through. Then I'm going to come up here, and then pull this guy through. This is especially tight because it's cotton. It doesn't have any give. Then pull this one through. And then pull this loop through. Put it on my needle. And then I can knit. Now there's two cautions with doing something like that. One is, if you look at it, those stitches that I just did are a whole lot tighter, and they're pulling these stitches tighter because I'm yanking the looseness from these threads next to it. I would only do that if it were just like 1 or 2 rows that I had to do. I would not do that if it was like 5 rows that I needed to do, because you would see it. No matter what you do, you would see it because you're pulling this yarn way too tight. Now that I've done that, though, now the yarns are stretched. So anyway, you need to gauge that. Sometimes you do have to rip out a little bit here and there, but only rip out as a last resort. Don't rip out as a first resort. Okay? So to finish this up, the last thing I want to talk about is the right and the left leaning increases that we're going to need for the raglan. That'll be coming up next.